What if I told you that one simple principle, taught thousands of years ago, has the power to transform nearly every area of your life? Your relationships, your finances, your career, your emotional well-being, even your sense of purpose. Yet, despite its importance, most people never truly understand it. The principle is simple: know thyself. These two words have echoed throughout history. They were inscribed at the temple of Apollo at Delphi in ancient Greece, embraced by philosophers like Socrates, and explored throughout various philosophical and esoteric traditions. But know thyself isn't just an interesting quote to hang on your wall. It's a lifelong practice. And if you genuinely commit to it, it can change everything. Today, I want to explore what this ancient principle really means, why it's more relevant now than ever, and how you can begin applying it to your own life. Most people think they know themselves. They know their favorite foods, their hobbies, their political opinions, their personality type. But that's not what know thyself means. Knowing yourself means becoming deeply aware of the invisible forces shaping your life. Like, why do you react the way you do? Or why do certain situations make you angry? Why are you repeatedly attracting similar relationships? Why do you have certain fears that continue to hold you back? And why do you sabotage opportunities that you've prayed for? These kind of questions go beneath the surface. And knowing yourself means understanding your beliefs, your habits, your motivations, your emotional patterns, your strengths, your weaknesses, and even the stories that you've been telling yourself for years. And many people, they tend to spend their entire lives studying everyone else, but very few people spend that same energy studying themselves. And if you're someone who's willing to take this step, that's truly when your journey towards knowing yourself begins. It's easy to blame circumstances, to blame our childhood, our parents, society, bad luck, or even other people. And while those things absolutely influence us, they don't have to define us forever. One of my greatest shifts actually came when I stopped asking, why is this happening to me? Or why did this person do this to me? And I started asking, what is this revealing about me? You see, that's a very different question, because every challenge reveals something. Sometimes it reveals fear, sometimes pride, sometimes our own insecurities, and sometimes impatience. Or it can be an old wound that still hasn't healed. When you come from this space, and when you're willing to redefine the way you look at things, life can become one of our greatest teachers if we're willing to pay attention. Imagine standing in front of a mirror. If you don't like what you see, you have two choices. You can spend your life arguing with the mirror, or you can change yourself. Life often functions the same way. People, circumstances, and experiences frequently reflect something back to us. Not always, but often they expose our beliefs, our assumptions, our emotional habits, and our blind spots. And that doesn't mean everything that happens to us is our fault. It means everything that happens gives you an opportunity to learn something. And that's empowering, because if you can learn, you can grow. And if you can grow, you can change. Many people believe their biggest obstacle is outside of themselves. It's their boss, their finances, their partner, the economy, it's social media, politics. But often, the greatest obstacle lives within. Those are your fears, self-doubt, procrastination, feeling bitter and resentful, and comfort. These are the battles that determine the direction of our lives. The person who learns to govern themselves becomes far more powerful than the person who spends all of their energy trying to control other people. Self-mastery has always been one of humanity's highest ideals. Not perfection, mastery. And there is a difference. Because mastery isn't about never making mistakes. It's about becoming increasingly aware of them and learning from them. Here's something I've learned. You cannot change what you refuse to acknowledge. If you don't recognize your habits, you'll repeat them. If you don't recognize your fears, they'll quietly make decisions for you. If you don't recognize your limiting beliefs, they'll become your reality. Awareness always comes first. Think about it this way. If you're driving in the wrong direction, but refuse to look at the map, you'll continue getting farther away from your destination. Self-awareness is your map. It helps you recognize where you are before deciding where you want to go. Knowing yourself requires honesty, real honesty, not the kind where we point out flaws just to criticize ourselves, but the kind where we're willing to say, I'm impatient, I avoid difficult conversations, I seek validation, I compare myself to other people, I've been blaming others for something I need to take responsibility for. Also, it's important to understand that this level of honesty may feel uncomfortable, but growth usually begins where comfort ends. And the more honest we become with ourselves, the less energy we spend on pretending. Because pretending is exhausting, which is why personal responsibility is so vital. One of the greatest gifts you can give yourself is personal responsibility. And notice I didn't say self-blame, because those are not the same thing. Self-blame keeps you trapped in feelings of shame, while personal responsibility gives you the power to respond differently. It asks, what can I do from here? And that's an empowering question. Because no matter where you've been, you still have choices. You have choices every day, in every conversation, and in every decision. And these small choices, repeated over time, become the very foundation that can transform your life. So what are some practical ways to know yourself and where to begin? First, spend time in reflection. Most people spend more time scrolling than thinking. Create quiet space. Journal. Go for walks. Sit without distractions. Second, observe your emotional reactions. When something triggers you, ask, what exactly am I feeling? What belief is underneath this emotion? Third, pay attention to your habits. Your habits reveal your priorities more honestly than your intentions. Fourth, ask trusted people for feedback. Sometimes our blind spots are visible to everyone else except ourselves. Finally, stay curious. Don't judge yourself every time you discover a weakness. See it as information, because every insight is an opportunity to grow. And realize that this is a lifelong journey. Knowing yourself isn't something you finish. It's a lifelong practice. As you grow, your understanding about yourself deepens. And as life changes, you change. New experiences reveal new lessons. New relationships reveal different parts of yourself. The goal isn't to arrive. The goal is to remain awake, to remain curious, and to continue learning. If there's one thing I hope you take away from today's conversation, it's this. Your greatest investment will never be a possession. It will never be your status. It will never be your reputation. Your greatest investment is understanding yourself. Because the better you know yourself, the wiser your decisions become. The healthier your relationships become. The more intentional your life becomes. The ancient invitation to know thyself isn't about becoming someone else. It's about uncovering who you truly are, beneath the fear, beneath the conditioning, the distractions, and the stories you've accumulated over the years. Because that's where transformation begins. Thank you all for spending this time with me. If this conversation resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Please leave a comment below and tell me, what is the one thing you've learned about yourself that changed the way you live?